If you want to get aero, then looking at the latest pro trends can give some ideas of what to copy on your own bike. Now, getting aero is key to going faster, so if you want to up those average speeds, then pay attention. BikeRadar spoke to Dr. Jamie Pringle and Dr. Xavier Disley, two aero experts, to get their take on what's new. From short cranks to UCI rule-cheating flared bars and helmet exhausts. Here are the 5 hottest aero trends to look out for in 2024. But before we start, why not subscribe to the channel? Just when we thought that the crank length debate had settled down a bit, it appears ready to ignite once again. Word is that many riders, including Team Ineos, will be looking to use shorter cranks, with Tom Pidcock rumoured to be on 165mm cranks in 2024. The reason is aero. Shorter cranks can allow a rider to adopt a more aggressive position at the front of the bike, as their hip angle at the top of the pedal stroke is reduced. This basically means it is comfier to be hunkered low down at the front end. But won't a shorter crank mean the rider's power will go down because it's a shorter lever? Well, actually, no. Archimedes was correct that levers amplify an input force and that longer levers increase that effect, but the world is not a bicycle. Phil Burt, a leading physiotherapist and bike fitter who previously worked with Team GB and Team Sky, told us that the science is clear. Crank length is not important in sub-maximal power production within a range of 80mm to 300mm. The key detail is that the power that you can produce on a bicycle isn't solely dependent on torque. That's the amount of force that you can apply to the crank lever in isolation. Your power output is actually determined by torque multiplied by cadence. While longer cranks do produce more torque, they also decrease cadence for a given effort because of the turning circle being larger. Likewise, shorter cranks produce less torque, but cadence increases for the same effort because the turning circle is shorter. The only place where longer cranks help is during standing starts with a fixed gear, as they can help you produce the torque required to get a massive gear going off the line. And unless you're a track sprinter, you're not going to be doing many of those. So, look out for some key riders running 165mm cranks in 2024. But would you try them? Let me know in the comments. Brake levers, or hoods, that are turned inwards at extreme angles. Now, you might have noticed this trend in road racing for the past few years, but the UCI has had enough. A recent rule update was brought in to control the extent to which riders could have their hoods turned in. Now, the UCI cited safety concerns, and if we're honest, we can see the point. With extreme lever positions, the UCI says it can be harder to grab your brakes when needed. It also says it has evidence such extreme angles can damage carbon handlebars, as they're not designed to have the brake levers mounted to them in this manner. So, they brought in a rule to stop riders pushing the limits and potentially breaking their handlebars. Now, in plain terms, and I will make this as simple as possible, the new UCI rule says that the hoods must be roughly in line with the line of the drops. Now, if you have a bar with straight drops, the hoods will have to be roughly straight too. The clever move, however, is to use a bar with a flared drop. This way, you can still angle your hoods in while keeping them in line with the drops. Thus, a rider with a flared bar will be able to have a narrower position at the hoods, potentially making them more aero. Ooh, that is sneaky. Dr. Jamie Pringle, applied sports scientist and part of the setup at Vortex Sports, predicted that the concept of a whole system aero-wise, where many of the component parts interact with each other, will roll on. This, he says, boils down to designing kit that considers what its effect is on the next piece and making choices based on that. Now, a good example of this would be the Ribble Ultra SLR, with its special bar that is designed to disturb the airflow before it hits the rider behind it. Or the Hope HBT track bike, where the forks are designed to do a similar thing. The benefits are mainly felt by the rider themselves, but, Pringle says, if you can control the air coming off the back of one bike, then the rider sitting in that wake will experience less drag too. This would have obvious benefits for team pursuit riders, but in theory, there are also benefits for the likes of a sprint lead-out. In practice, Pringle says that we'll probably see greater use of curious features on frames and forks, such as boundary layer trips and turning vanes, which are aerodynamic devices designed to shape airflow for this whole system consideration. As the road world moves ever more in the direction of tubeless tyres, the track world still loves its tubular tyres. But with the Paris Olympics taking place this summer, Xavier Disley predicts that clincher and tubeless tyres will become more popular as their aero credentials become crucial to the ever finer margins of track racing. One of the key benefits to clincher and tubeless setups versus tubular tyres on the road is the aero benefits cited by a number of wheel and tyre brands. To put it simply, the tyre sidewall can be made to sit in line with the outer face of the rim. A tubular tyre, on the other hand, has a circular cross-section, so there can be a larger gap where the tyre and rim meet. Yes, the savings of the optimised setup can be limited to fractions of watts, but with Olympic medals on the line, those savings are worth having. But Disley says that this isn't the death of tubulars by any means. Track sprinters often see tubulars as being a more secure system, as they are glued to the rim. That's rather important when you're diving down the banking, then flicking back up to launch a 2,500 watt sprint. Tubulars can also be run at some incredibly high pressures, which can help reduce rolling resistance on the perfectly smooth boards of an Olympic velodrome. For years, the key features of a helmet were how light it was and how much venting it had. Now, however, safety features and aero shapes have largely taken over, and Pringle sees future focus being put onto the exhaust system. He points out that we're seeing many new aero helmets coming onto the market, both time trial and road, that have a significant air intake and exhaust. If you know how to tame the flow, well, Jamie says it can offer significant performance advantages in terms of aerodynamics and cooling to channel air through the helmet and out to the base of the neck. One helmet that's already made headlines this year is the Casque Utopia, used by Ineos Grenadiers, albeit not for the air channeling, but ear shielding. Filippo Ganna, seen here in his fetching new helmet, hardly needs making any faster, but the sides of his Utopia reach down, covering the tops of his ears and the arms of his sunglasses. POC 2 have got in on the act. Their new and as yet unnamed helmet even has a visor, looking more like a scaled down version of the ProSen time trial helmet than a standard road lid. Can you see yourself using any of these aero trends on your own bike? Let us know down in the comments. Now, if you like your aero tech, then why not check out our video from Silverstone Wind Tunnel, where we tested a range of Go Faster kit to see whether it was worth the money. That's just up there. And remember, go and like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and we will see you next time.